Okay, so welcome to stage 5. So this is kind of integrating all of the things that we've learned along the way, and now our workouts can be a little bit more whole body. We can incorporate more strength because we figured out how we need to be moving now. So we know in order to recruit our core muscles, we need to have those ribs relaxed and down, because we know that if the ribs are lifted, the abdominals are lengthened and we can't access our core. So we need to have those ribs relaxed and down to enable our abdominal muscles to fire. And hopefully you're starting to be able to notice when that happens, that your core is working more reflexively. So as soon as you get into a position, perhaps when you're on your hands and your knees and you've got your good alignment so the ribs are in, that as soon as you lift one hand away from the floor, you can feel that your abdominals just reflexively fire. And that's kind of the whole point. That's what we want them to do. And also, you know now that if you ever notice any bulging of your abdominals or any bearing down, that's creating stress on your abdominal muscles and also on your pelvic floor. So we don't do that. If ever we notice that, we've gone beyond our boundaries, something's not quite right, so we step back from it, rearrange, look at what we're doing, and try it again. And maybe it's just that whatever it is you're trying to do is just beyond your strength boundary right at the moment. So it's all about taking all of the information that you've learned and then putting that into any exercises that you do. So we're going to do a little bit of a core blast again. So we're really trying to get that core really strong and reflexive now. So for this workout, you're going to need a half dome. If you don't have a half dome, you can use a rolled up towel and a strap. Okay, so we're going to start with some seated work. Now, when you're in a seated position, you're trying to find that neutral pelvis. So notice whether your pelvis is upright, so you're sitting on your sit bones, or whether your lower back is a little bit rounded and you're a little bit tucked and you're more on your tailbone. So if you're a little bit rounded and you're on your tailbone, then that's when we need to sit on something to lift us up a little bit. And I'm going to sit on my half dome. And I'm just going to pop that under my bottom so that my pelvis can find a neutral position more easily, and it helps me to keep those ribs down and stop lifting them. So we're going to do some twists first. So we're going to make sure that the ribs are down. We're in that neutral pelvis position, and then we're not going to use our arms. We're going to use the muscles of our core to twist our body as far as we can go. And then we're going to just bring our hands down and just hold there, just breathe in normally. And then we're going to come back in through centre. We're going to again keep those ribs down, twist as far as you can. So think about using the muscles of your core to twist your body. So it's a real active twist. And then you can let your hands come down and again just hold for a couple of breaths. Come back in through centre. So if you've got your legs crossed like I have, cross them the other way. And do the same again there. So find that neutral pelvis, ribs are relaxed and down. Notice whether you're rounding forwards or you're maybe shearing your ribs to one side. So just kind of check in and notice, is your alignment good? Is your rib cage over your pelvis? Yeah. And then same thing again, use the muscles of your abdominals to twist. So for me, I tend to inhale and then exhale to twist, because it's on the exhale that your abdominal muscles, your core muscles work, isn't it? Go as far as you can and then let your arms come down. So you're not kind of cranking the twist with your arms, you're letting the abdominal muscles do the twist. So it's an active twist rather than a passive twist. Come back in through centre. So a passive twist will be where you use your arms and then you just kind of crank your body around. Well, we're not doing that because we're working our abdominals, we're working our core. Get your position again, take a breath in. As you exhale again, twist, use those core muscles, that's what they're there for. And then just allow your arms to come down. Good, and then just come back into centre. Okay, so now we're going to think about tucking and untucking our pelvis here. So again, it's easier if you're on something, but if you're not, that's fine too. Can you just stay in the seated position, allow your pelvis to kind of tuck under, and then allow it to come back into a neutral position. So tucking and untucking that pelvis. Notice if your rib cage is wanting to lift and do all of the work. Can you make it just about your pelvis? Keep your ribs down. And for me, I have to think about keeping that chest down, because otherwise it all wants to lift. So we're tucking and untucking our pelvis. So we're getting some movement there through the pelvis. Also, you probably feel a little bit of movement in your low back. Two more. And then we're going to take our legs out long and just about hip width apart. So again, either sitting on something or just sitting on the floor. So here, we're going to go into like a forward fold. So the first thing that we're going to move is the pelvis. So allow your pelvis to round forward. I'm going to come off that. But allow your pelvis to tilt forwards. Now notice immediately what happens with your feet. And as soon as you start to get a little bit of tension, your feet will kind of want to point away from you, but we're going to try and keep the feet really flexed. So we're tilting the pelvis forwards. Then we're going to start to allow the chest to come forwards. Keep an eye on those feet. And when you've gone as far as you can with your pelvis and your chest, you're going to then allow your head to drop forwards as well. Keep those feet flexed, pushing out through your heels. If you're struggling to keep your legs straight, make sure that you're sitting on something. Let your head just relax. Pelvis is tipped forwards, chest is rounding down towards your thighs, and we've got those feet flexed. Couple more breaths here. And then we're going to slowly come on out of that. So that's a really nice movement to do against a wall, because you can pop your feet against the wall and that's going to stop them being able to point away from you. And then we're rounding forward. So that one is called, it's called a cat suit stretch. And it's meant to stretch all the fascia of your body. We're going to come on to all fours next. So come on to all fours. Fingers spread wide, thumbs point towards each other and elbow pits are forwards. We're going to go into our forearm push-up from here. Keeping those elbow pits forwards, we're going to bend the elbows and allow the upper body to come down towards the mat, and then straighten those arms to come back up. Now notice whether, when you bend your arms, whether your bottom sinks back towards your heels, because this is kind of a cheating way of doing it. So your bottom is going to stay directly above your knees, and it's just the upper body that's going to move and come back up. So you don't have to go all the way down to the mat, just go as far as you feel that you can control it. Notice if as soon as you bend your elbows, your shoulder blades collapse, and you're collapsing your spine between your shoulder blades. Try and keep those shoulder blades really nice and wide on your back. Let's just do a couple more there. So really good for strengthening your arms, your shoulders, and your general upper body strength. Good job. Come off your hands and just give your hands and your wrists a little twirl around and perhaps a little shake out. So we're going to go back to some of those core lifts that we did in the core challenge video. Okay, so we're going to come down onto our front now. And we're going to have our fists just in front of our shoulders and our elbows are tucked in by our sides. And we're going to pull the ribs in, press into your hands and come up onto your knees. So what we're not doing is we're not kind of snaking up, we're not lifting the upper body and then the lower body. So it's the movement that we practiced in the core challenge. Elbows tucked in, fists just in front of shoulders, pull the ribs in first and then lift onto your knees and lower back down. Let's do one more like that. Pull the ribs in first, press into your hands and use your abdominal muscles to bring you up into that plank position, and then lowering down, again without kind of snaking down. Just roll onto your back for a moment just to give you a little break. Going into your cobbler stretch, so soles of the feet together, knees out to the side.
Reach your arms to the ceiling and interlace your fingers. Turn the palms to the ceiling and press. Couple of breaths here. Keeping your ribs down. Take your arms overhead, pressing into your hands, but make sure that the ribs don't lift. If you need something under your head, then fine, pop something under your head. Pressing into your hands. Bring the hands back to the ceiling. Bring your fingers apart, give your fingers a wriggle. Circle your wrists around and reverse, go the other way. And then gently pulling each finger in turn to give the hands and the fingers a really good stretch. You can't do too much here, so give them a really good wriggle. And let's flip over and do the same thing again. So we're going to do that core lift. So what I want you to focus on this time is that you aren't squeezing your bottom and all of the work should be in your core and in your arms, okay? So let's have a little play with that. So, again, forearms are down, little fist just in front of your shoulders. Pull the ribs in, and we're going to press into the arms and come up. All of the work is in your arms, your shoulders, and your core. Now from here, can you come up onto your hands? And if you can't, that's fine, just hold this. Otherwise, you're going to, can you bring one hand and the other hand and maintain that same position here? And just hold, hold, hold. And then we're going to come back down to our forearms. So one arm down, other arm down, and all the way down. So you can practice and play around with that. So what we don't want is, as you're coming up onto your hand, having to kind of really rock onto one side, get that hand and then just kind of collapse as you press it, you know, and it all looks awful. We're trying to maintain that same plank position, so when we come up, that we don't kind of lose our lower back and we don't drop into it. Okay, come on off your wrists again. Give your wrists a little twirl around. Again, just giving them a little bit of a break. Give your shoulders a little twirl around in each direction. Okay, so we're going to do that again, but we're going to start from the top this time, and we're going to see if we can lower all the way down to the floor. It's a lot of strength and it's a lot of work, and if your shoulders or your abdominals are just not quite ready for it, then keep playing with the other little bits that we've done. So just coming up and holding, and then coming up onto your hands, and then coming back down onto your forearms. So this is just giving you some more levels that you can build up to. We're going to go straight onto our hands. So hands are underneath your shoulders. We're going to walk the knees back to find that plank position. So ribs are in, and then let your hips drop. So we're in the top of that position. From here, keep those elbow pits forwards. Can you lower your body down without, I couldn't even talk then, without kind of snaking down, yeah? We're trying to lower all the way down, and that is a lot of work. So we're only going to do that one, but you can play with that. So you're going to come up into that position, elbow pits forwards, get yourself in that position, ribs in so that you're accessing your core, and then you're going to bend your elbows and not lower your hips and then snake down, yeah? And lower down with control. So that is a really tricky one for me because I do have problems with this shoulder, but just be very aware that you aren't winging your shoulder blades and you're not just collapsing down between those shoulders. So that's a really nice one that you can build up to. We're going to stretch out the front of the thighs now. So come down onto your front for a quad stretch. I'm going to bend one knee. Bringing that foot up now, I want you to see if you can actually get your hand onto the top of your foot this time. If you can't, grab your ankle or wherever you can reach. But if you can you get your palm of your hand on your toes and your fingers pointing down towards the front of your ankle? So then we're going to have that elbow bent up towards the ceiling, and we're going to see if we can bring both sides of the rib cage back down onto the back. So just be where you are, and don't worry if you can't get here. Again, it's a work in progress. So this is great because not only are we stretching the quads, but we're also giving the shoulders a good stretch as well. Now again, you want to work your way to this position, but notice here whether your knee has come out to the side. Can you bring your knees close together and do it? And then we're going to do the same on the other side. So again, you're going to bend your leg, hand goes behind, and then grab wherever you can. But see if you can get your palm to your toes, fingers pointing down to the front of your ankle, knees are together, elbow bend into the ceiling, and then trying to get both sides of the rib cage down. And then hold here for a few breaths. And then we're going to let that leg go. Push yourself up and back into a child's pose, just a rest position to give your lower back a little stretch, and just take a few breaths there. We're going to go onto our back now. So lie yourself down on your back, and we're going to bring one leg into our chest, and I'm going to hold behind that leg and pull the leg in. And then can you start to straighten the lower leg towards the ceiling? So this is like your happy baby. So we've got that lower leg straightening towards the ceiling. We're trying to get the sole of the foot to point to the ceiling and get this shin as vertical as possible. Now this other leg is out long, but if it needs to have a little bend in it, that's fine. So just see where you can get to here. And we're keeping the back of the pelvis anchored. If you need a little bit more space, allow this leg to come out to the side, but don't allow just the knee to come out, okay? So if we're bringing the leg out to the side, then the ankle's going to come with it, because we want the ankle and the knee in a straight line. Can you walk your hands up your shin to grab your foot? Can you grab your foot with both hands while still trying to keep your pelvis untucked? So we're still trying to keep the back of the pelvis down. But like I say, if that other leg has a little bend and it's lifted away from the mat, that's absolutely fine. And just hold here. Couple of breaths. And then we're going to let that leg go. I'm going to straighten that leg out, bring the other leg in. Again, pull the leg in towards you. Hold behind the knee and straighten the lower leg towards the ceiling. Can you flex the foot, so sole of the foot towards the ceiling. Shin vertical-ish. Keeping that tailbone anchored. Can you walk your hands up towards your ankle, and can you grab your foot? If you can't, and you've got your strap nearby, you can use your strap. Remember, you can take that leg slightly out to the side as long as you take the ankle with it, because we want the ankle and the knee in the same position. We don't want the ankle coming in and the knee going out. And you hold it with both hands. Can you keep that pelvis untucked? And we're going to hold for a few breaths here. So just notice, is it different on this side to the other side? Alright, and then we're going to let that leg go. Lengthen that leg out long, take your arms overhead and just stretch from fingertips to toes, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. So we're going to use that half dome again, or your rolled up towel if you don't have a half dome. And we're going to do click clack. So if you've got a half dome, you've got the rounded side down, flat side up, and you're going to sit onto your half dome. And we've got our knees bent, our feet on the floor, and we're going to hold onto the fronts of our shins. So the first thing that we're going to do is try and tilt the pelvis forwards and backwards. So tucking under and tilting forwards. Okay. So use your feet to kind of help steer your pelvis. So push the feet away as you tilt the pelvis backwards, you tuck the pelvis, and then pull the feet towards you as you tilt the pelvis forwards. So you're focusing on using the back of the leg to help with the click clack. Arms stay straight. We don't want to be kind of bending and straightening the arms, because then that means we're moving the upper body as well. And we're just trying to focus on the lower body. So notice those ribs, try and keep the ribs down. So the movement is just purely pelvis, and it's not a lifting of the chest. The chest kind of stays down. In fact, let your chest round. Take your eyes to look at your belly button, and then keep the chest down and move just the pelvis. pelvis to tuck it under this time. And we're going to hold here. Keep your ribs down. Keep tilting that pelvis, tilting that pelvis. We're trying to round this lower back as much as we can. Keep your chest down, your upper back will round as well. So we're tilting, 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 tucking, tucking. Eyes on your abdominals. And then come on out of that. Okay. So we're going to cross our legs here again, like we did earlier. Cross your legs, you're still on your half dome. And we're going to tilt the pelvis forwards so that it's in a neutral position, because even though we've tilted the pelvis forwards, it's still going to be fairly neutral here. And we're going to do that twist again. So chest and ribs stay down, and we're going to do an active twist to one side as far as you can go, and then just let your hands come down. Keep the chest down, keep the ribs down. Again, your rib cage should be directly over your pelvis, and you've not kind of shifted it to one side or lifted the rib cage up. Come back in through centre, keep the ribs down, keep the chest down. Twist, active twist. Use the muscles of your core to twist, and then let your arms come down. And just again, a couple of breaths here, making sure that your rib cage is directly over your pelvis. And you haven't lifted your ribs, or lent kind of. What we often do is that we lift the rib cage and then we kind of lean to the side, so it's not actually a true twist. Come back into centre, cross your legs over the other way. I'm going to do exactly the same here. We're going to get the ribs and the chest down, rib cage over pelvis, and we're going to do that active twist again. Think about moving from the muscles of your waist, and then allow your arms to come down. Come back in through centre, keep the ribs down, active twist again, and allow your arms to come down. Okay, come back in through centre. So we're going to get rid of the half dome, and we're going to go back to that click-clap movement again. So hold into the fronts of your shins, arms are straight, so we're going to lean back first, ribs down, and we're going to tuck and untuck from the pelvis. So eyes again down towards your belly button, trying to keep the rib cage very, very still, and just tilt the pelvis forwards and backwards. Okay, and then tilt your pelvis back, so tuck your tailbone under so you're rounding through your lower back as much as you can. Drop your chest even more so you're trying to really round. Think about your abdominals pulling in to really fill out this area of your back. So you're not trying to like suck your belly in, but in order to allow this area, your abdominals have to contract to flex and round your spine. So sometimes when we have a real stiffness, it's a weakness in the abdominals, not having the strength to be able to create that round in the back. All right, and then just come on out of that. Let's do that again. So ribs are down, chest is down, holding on. We're going to tilt the pelvis back as far as the pelvis will go, and we're going to keep tilting, we're going to keep tucking, and we're trying to really round this lower back, really round. Your abdominals are having to work super hard to flex and to round your lower back. Okay, and then come on up. So I know a lot of you have done Pilates before, and one of the exercises in Pilates is rolling like a ball. And it's a really difficult exercise for a lot of people because you have to have the available length in your lower back, you have to have the abdominal strength to be able to round that lower back. So we're going to have a little play with that here. So we're going to hold behind the knees. Okay, we're going to tilt the pelvis first. Keep your ribs down so that your abdominals can work. Tilt the pelvis, get that round in through that lower back. Once that back is as round as it can possibly go, we're going to allow the feet to lift. Keep pulling those abdominals to round that lower back, and you're going to round down to your shoulder blades. And can you rock back up? Try that again. Ribs in. Get that round through the lower back. Can you roll back to your shoulder blades and come back up? Keep going with that. Really think about getting length through that lower back. And just do a few more. So what we're trying to do is allow the lower back to round so that as you go back, you're not just flumping onto your back, and then it's really hard to get up because your back is straight. So quite often the ribs are lifted, this is very flat, and we're then not able to round very well. So tilting of the pelvis, using those strong abdominals to create this round back, and then you can kind of play with that. So feel free to play with that one. And once you've kind of got it and you're able to smoothly roll back and roll back up, you can try going round in a circle in each direction, and that's just kind of a little bit of a giggle, but it really works your abdominals, and once you've gone both ways, you'll really feel that you've done a lot of work there. You never want to roll too far back. You're only ever going back to kind of your bra strap area, your shoulder area. You don't want to go all the way onto your head, and you're not flinging. So when you're doing the rolling like a ball, you want to keep your eyes down towards your abdominals. You don't want to be kind of looking up at the ceiling. Okay, so that's your rolling like a ball. We're going to go on to do another little stretch now. Let's do a crescent stretch. So lie down onto your back. Just give everything a little bit of a stretch because we've been doing a little bit of rounding, haven't we? Walk your legs to the right, and then take your arms up and overhead and walk your arms and upper body also to the right. So you're in that crescent or that banana shape here. Feel free to stay here, or you can cross your left ankle over your right. And with your right hand, you can grab your left wrist and just give it a little bit of a pull just to give you a little bit more of a stretch. Check in with those ribs, make sure the ribs are down, making sure that your pelvis is flat and you've not allowed your hip to lift to twist your lower body. It's a pure side bend here. And then just take some deep breaths. We're going to switch to do the other side. Let your arms just come down just to give your shoulders a little break. As you uncross your legs and walk your legs to the left this time, as far as you can. Arms up and overhead, and then arms and upper body also to the left. Check in with those ribs and feel free to bolster your head if needed. Stay here or cross your right ankle over your left, and with your left hand you can grab that right wrist and just give it a little bit of an extra stretch. Few breaths here. So you're really lengthening the right side of your body. Thinking about space between the ribs, it's like your rib cage is fanning open and we're stretching the muscles of the waist. Then come back in and allow your arms to come down. You're going to slowly bend your knees one at a time, and then bring your knees into your chest. Give your knees a little hug and just rock gently side to side. We're going to use our strap next. So grab your strap, and we're going to double the strap over. So we don't need it to be too long. Okay, so double the strap over. I'm going to take the strap up towards the ceiling. Okay, and then we're going to bend the knees. Tailbone is anchored to begin with, and we're going to tap the shins onto the strap. Okay, so you're going to have to then lift and lower, lift and lower. So your bottom is now lifting and lowering. You're using your abdominals, so inhale, and then as you're lifting your bottom and lifting your legs, exhale, the abdominals will naturally pull in to allow you to get that lift. So just do a few of those and then rest. Notice how much flinging you're wanting to do. So you can kind of really fling, but we want to be really controlled here. And if you need to hold your strap a little bit closer to your legs, that's fine. You're trying to have it kind of directly above your shoulders, but to begin with, if you need to start a little bit lower, that's absolutely fine, but it's controlled. And again, if you feel any bulging, any bearing down, or you're holding your breath, then just don't do that. Just don't do it. Okay, so take a little moment's rest, just give your knees a little hug, just to give everything a little break. Okay. Now this time, we're going to challenge our abdominals even more, but our arms aren't quite long enough, so we're going to modify this strap because we're going to use our first finger and we're going to push our first finger into the strap to give us a little bit more length, yeah? So I've got my finger pushing the strap a little bit higher than it just being in my hands. Okay, so we've got that strap a little bit higher. I'm going to bring those legs up and we're going to bring the legs through the strap. One leg, two leg, one leg, two leg. Maybe try the other way. One leg, two leg, one leg, two leg. This is challenging, okay? So you can have a little play with that. And again, you can lower your arms down a little bit if you need to. Okay, and then obviously once you've mastered the one leg, two leg, you can go straight into two legs. Don't forget to use your little finger extenders as you press the strap towards the ceiling. Can you bring both legs through? I think I cheated. And move the strap. Yeah. It's almost like you're rounding your lower back, you're using your abdominals to round your back to bring your leg through. So it's the same as when we were here and we were using the abdominals to round the back. It's kind of the same action, but it's more challenging because you're then bringing those heavy legs through. So you don't want to do too much, just a few of those just to have a little play and have a little practice with them. You can keep your strap nearby. So we're going to go into our happy baby one more time. We're going to have one leg out long and we're going to bring the other leg in and then straighten that leg up towards the ceiling. Now if you're tired or it's just easier for you, use your strap for your happy baby. You're pulling that knee down towards your chest, allow it to come out to the side if you wish. Make sure that your shin is vertical, the sole of your foot is to the ceiling. This other leg is long, but if it has a slight bend in it and it's lifting away from the mat, that's fine, but keep your tailbone anchored. So we don't kind of want you to be lifting and being able to drive a bus under your bottom. And we're in that happy baby position. And then give the back of your thigh, give your hamstring just a little bit of attention, just give it a little rub. Notice if that knee is wanting to go out, the ankle's coming in, try and keep them in that really good alignment. We're going to do the same on the other side. I'm just going to switch my foot over in the strap. Lengthen out your leg, bring this knee down. Again, you can allow it to come slightly out to the side. Let's get as vertical as we can with the shin, sole of the foot to the ceiling. And then again, maybe give this hamstring just a little bit of a rub. Alright. From here, we're just going to go into that cobbler stretch. So when you're ready, release that leg. You can pop your strap down. Bring the soles of your feet together, arms out to the sides. Let's have palms facing up towards the ceiling and just allow yourself to relax here. Ribs relax. Few breaths. And then maybe just allow your cobbler stretch to just rock gently, side to side. Alright guys. I'm going to come up. You are done. Feel free to stay in your cobbler position and hold that kind of release pose for as long as you wish. You deserve it because that was quite a challenging workout and I hope that you found it useful. Remember, there's no rush to get there. You get there in your own time and when your body feels strong enough to do it. Don't ever try and just do it because it's there, you know. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. You can contact me at any time and I will help
you work anything out if I've not made something clear. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.